I profoundly believe that art has always been important to humanity, and it always will be.
It's just a window to the world where there's just no barriers.
The whole reason why people make art in the first place is because they need to.
I'm an interdisciplinary public artist, visual artist, painter, muralist.
I just finished up my junior year of studying international relations.
I had a professional career for 30 years, and I thought, oh, I'm going to go back to school in art history. And it's just changed my life.
I remember going to different museums when I was a child and the impact that had on me. So I want to pass that into my kids.
Art is a vehicle for teaching my kids about more adult topics. I'm trying to raise warrior women.
People would tell a story about their life and somebody else would say, whoa, I had the same experience, and then we would add that to the mural. Being able to see yourself represented is healing.
Before I found a community of artists, I just never fit in. Stories save people, they really do.
Art is an expression of what it is to be human. I can't imagine a world without it.
I think it's important to be able to use art to express yourself when things aren't happy. For our family, it's been a guidepost. It's seen us through ups and downs.
Tapping into the struggle of everyday life and then turning that energy into something creative, art is a solace.
It just shows you, how little you have to do to help people and to make them feel that they're worth something.
Art is something that should be cultivated and made accessible to everyone.
Politics may divide, whereas art brings people together. Art is the connective tissue.
Surrounding ourselves with beauty, surrounding ourselves with works of art that still have something to say.
It's a declaration. You might as well do it big. You might as well declare something big.
It's this big structure. I think it's like 3 rows of 4 different rooms. And it's behind the glass, but like it's a fancy place. And there's like pianos and a poker game going on. My favorite thing in this house is I like the little artwork here.
I like it because there's so many little pieces, and me and my sister like little tiny mini things.
This chair would be about this big.
One of the more interesting things was the kitchen. So the kitchen had one of those Americana dolls, they call them, right? You know the dolls.
I saw that she had the closest skin color to me.
She was back there doing the dishes, and she was the only person of color in the whole dollhouse. And, my kids were like, well, what's she doing, Mommy? And, we talked about it.
Back in the day, you could only be a maid, but you wouldn't choose what you could be.
It was because for Black women, it was pretty much one of the only jobs that they could do.
It's so many levels of deepness when it came to that character that my children and I unpacked together. As the years went by, I don't know quite what happened to it, but she's gone now. At the end of the day, when my children asked me, why is she gone now? And I told them, well, some people are ashamed about that. For me, I'm not. It was a teachable moment. Art is a vehicle for teaching my kids about more adult topics. I am a mother of 2 beautiful little girls named Millicent and Josephine. We call them Millie and Josie. My oldest, I'm proud of how well she wants to read, how good of a friend she is to her friends. I think she tries to be a good person. My youngest, she's a little firecracker, but I love how she's not afraid to stand up for herself. She has a fire tiger heart.
That's the really sunny part. That's the really dark part.
You need art. You need art as a basic way to express yourself. It's healthy.
Who wants to eat my bowl of cereal?
Oh, you made even a little spoon to go with it. That's cute. Why is it green though? The peas?
No, but I think it might be mashed potatoes with peas on it.
I really like to draw things. I try to get inspiration from other art. It just makes me kind of happy and it's quiet.
I work at the school that my children attend. Their father's an artist, I'm an artist. We were on a limited budget looking for free stuff to do. So we love coming to Mia, and my children have definitely grown up here. You know, a lot of the art depicts violent situations, and they'll be like, what's that about? They can form critical thinking skills by asking questions. They're aware of what goes on the news. We read the newspaper. We talk about it. We talk about police killings. We talk about Black Lives Matter. We talk about Trans Lives Matter. You want to shield them, but like they need to know the reality. Because I want them to just be the best people they can be. I'm trying to raise warrior women. It's a very delicate dance being a mother. And you're always scared you're gonna mess up. Like.
We can be pretty much anything that we want to be.
Like, I want to be a lot of things. I want to be a gymnastics coach.
When I grow up, I want to go to the moon.
I want to be a swimmer coach.
I want to be an artist.
I want to be a baseball player. I want to be, well, just a lot of things.
And I want to be the president.
I hope that one day it would be nice if my children would come here and share their experiences with their kids and look around and remember some of the times that we shared together. I think it would be great.
I can only wonder how some of these pieces of wood came to be where they are. It's probably 20 feet wide by 8 feet. It's big and it's beautiful. Every piece came from somewhere. And then when you see them all together and how they flow, it's just a beautiful piece. There's a lot of pieces here of Mia that I like, but that's the one that I'm drawn to. When I come, I get inspired, you know, all the time. From time to time, I like to make things myself, and I do my own twist and my own turns on things, you know. Whenever I make art, I'm in a happy place. It's very relaxing.
Over the 21 years that we've been married, I've been one of the voices who's said, do you want to do that professionally? But you know, he's really always been true to saying, it's not so much about doing it to please anyone else. It's very much for himself and for our family.
I think my kids enjoy it too. We do a lot of outdoor stuff. You know, we go hiking and you'll find a little rock or a stick that just really draws your attention. So oftentimes I take those things and I make something with it. So it kind of has a little bit of a story.
My dad sees beauty everywhere he goes, and he's able to easily point those things out. Sometimes even I don't see it myself. So when he does that, I kind of try to shift my way of thinking and look at things through a different lens. That's just something he has an eye for.
You can see the little bug climbing up. Looks like a chameleon.
My family, we like going camping a lot. So nature is a big thing, and that's probably where we get like half of our supplies to do artwork, so that's kind of a big deal.
This piece could go like right here. Check this out.
We come to MIA fairly often, and we don't try to see the whole museum at once. Sometimes we aren't even perusing the galleries. We're here to, partake in painting or mask making or a music production. We've picnicked in the yard out there. So MIA has provided a rich diversity of opportunities, and the fact that it's free has been very important, because when you have 4 people and you're budgeting and you're thinking, well, what things can I expose the kids to? You're looking for things that don't cost a lot.
I remember going to different museums when I was a child and the impact that had on me. So I want to pass that into my kids. Art makes you dream big, It's kind of nice to see their minds just kind of, wonder.
I think it's important to be able to use art to express yourself when things aren't happy and might help you be processing something.
This is a whole pen drawing. We could draw whatever we wanted as long as we used the entire pen and nothing else. It's kind of the feeling of not understanding how I felt, I guess. And that's demonstrated by all the darkness and fading in and enveloping the person.
Art creates space for everybody, regardless of background, opinions, variety of differences in the world. It's something that everyone can access. And I think it really creates well-being for people. For our family, it's been a guidepost. It's seen us through ups and downs. It can really help teach some valuable lessons too about how am I going to conduct myself in the world.
What Van Gogh does is he distorts our understanding of reality. If you get up really close, you can see these individual swatches of color. None of it makes sense, it's just a bunch of colors. But then when you step back, you can see, oh, these are trees. And it says to me that maybe I can branch out and do things in my own way and incorporate the things that I care about within the field that I'm going into. I just finished up my junior year of studying international relations, which is in the political science department. So I've always sort of been drawn to politics, issues of policy, doing public work, that sort of thing. I grew up around art. My mom is an artist still, and she would always encourage us to do all of these arts and crafts projects, to paint, to watercolor, to draw.
When they were little, both he and his brother, we would go to MIA to see some of the important shows, along with going to the Children's Theater, so they were both right there. That building was a part of their childhood.
As a kid, I didn't really get into it. I didn't appreciate what she was trying to do.
You can't be rigid with art. It opens you up to the possibilities of other things.
So for example, I love food. I love food.
That sounds nice.
Well, I don't know.
Food is art. I could go on a long tangent about the movie Ratatouille, which in my opinion is the best movie ever made. I won't get into that unless you ask specifically. Going and engaging with a farmer's market and experiencing what the food has to offer is something that's important to me. I think art gives you a perspective on life. Whatever I do, I'm going to follow this path of public service. I've lived a really comfortable life. I go to Carleton now, which is one of the best liberal arts schools in the country. So there definitely is this pressure to really utilize all of these resources and advantages I've been given and to do something powerful and meaningful, where at the end of the day I can go home and think I really made a difference. I think art is extremely important for the people of any community. One of the most amazing things about MIA is the fact that it's free and that anybody can come and experience these amazing collections. That's not just a great public service, that is an amazing educational opportunity. And so if I can volunteer once a week this summer, that means before or after I can wander around the galleries myself. There's no overt connection between political science and art, but I think art can be very useful in political science and in politics. There are these really embedded ways of doing things and ways of thinking about the world. And to me, a lot of those don't really make sense. Looking at olive trees helps me understand that, yeah, maybe I can do things differently. That's what art can do, is that it lets you understand something more about yourself that you can't put into words.
The mural is divided up into like 2 sections. There was some water damage in the middle of the wall, so we worked the design around that. And it's really vivid, rich colors.
It was around the time that Prince died, and so Prince was a major theme in the design process too, and made it into the final mural. And there's a big Prince quote running through the whole thing. With the way that society has developed, undervaluing certain people, there has been a huge imbalance of the stories being told. Murals are like a declaration. So you might as well do it big. You might as well declare something really big. I'm a muralist and an artist and an educator and a community organizer here in Minneapolis.
And I'm an interdisciplinary public artist, visual artist, painter, muralist, educator, sculptor.
I think of art as telling stories. You can stand in front of a group of people and say, this is my experience, this is how it impacted me, and that can be a really powerful way to connect with somebody.
The process of creating the artwork is crucial. You're trying to create an environment where you're getting people to feel inspired and ideas have a place to build. We met through working with MIA and Hope Community. So I think we might have been aware of each other's work, and then we ended up collaborating and working together last summer on a mural.
There's a larger partnership that's been developing between Hope and MIA around how to bridge the institution with the community. Last year we did our first mural with a group called St. Stephen's. It's an organization that works with people who've experienced homelessness. If you want to think about voices that are not being asked to share their experiences, that's one of them.
I know what it's like not having a voice or feeling like you have a voice but there's no one listening. To me, when we talk about murals, what we're really talking about is life. And so to a degree, it's not even really about the murals. It's about, I have an idea, I have a dream, and what are you gonna do to go from beginning to end?
MIA provided the wall and support and some of the funding and a lot of collaboration.
When we put together this mural, it was, tell us from your eyes, what is the experience? For those who don't know what you experience, what is it? Like having to panhandle and whatever pride associated with having to own up to being able to need help and being in a public piece.
The process was really powerful as well. People would tell a story about their life and somebody else would say, whoa, I had the same experience, and then we would add that to the mural. You need to have lots of different skills. You need to have people who are idea people and people who are really good artists and people who can move materials. So a lot of it is in just building people up to the point where they can paint on the wall.
It's really cool to see people develop that confidence to go in and do it. And people just have like a sense of pride in like being able to use their voices to like express themselves.
To never see yourself represented, it's erasure. So telling the story of homelessness, you know, with a lot of dignity, that asks a lot of questions about society. Why are things the way they are? You know, why is this the only way that we're getting these stories? I think being able to see yourself represented, especially to be able to be part of creating the representation of yourself, is healing.
I feel that art is the connective tissue. It's a great equalizer because it speaks to people in a way that, you know, maybe politics doesn't. You know, politics may divide, whereas art brings people together.
I definitely enjoy working on a bigger palette. To have things at that scale when you're talking about telling the story of many people to a community is important. They're able to be drawn in and see it from down the block or walking down the street, as opposed to if it was something smaller, they wouldn't have that same reach.
Organizing is really about listening at its core and then acting. And I think that that's what community art can be about too.
You're on a road and you look around and all you see is snow. You can feel the cold, but yet there's a light quality that illuminates this scene. It's beautiful in its simplicity. I like to immerse myself just in the visual and the emotional part of the art. And then I love to look into the artist to understand their journey and aesthetics. White is a very, very difficult color to paint, and this piece is incredible. I'm totally drawn in and want to follow this road. I had a professional career for 30 years in the cosmetic industry, and my identity was so closely tied with being someone with a business card. That's who I was. I started working for Estée Lauder in Canada. I worked in Australia for 4 years, Singapore for another 4 years, and my last assignment was I was vice president of retail for Aveda. And when I decided to stop working, suddenly I didn't have an identity. I think a lot of people my age now are faced with that. And I said, you know, what am I going to do with my life? And I thought, well, I'm going to go back to school. I was always surrounded by art. I was somewhat intimidated by it, surrounded by it, but intimidated. So I started taking classes every fall. It's great to be on campus. And you know, people ask me, well, do you feel kind of weird, like because you're older? And I said, oh, not at all. I love being on campus. Girls in my class will come over and say, I love your shoes, which is the great equalizer with women, you know, the shoes. I have a wonderful friendship with my professor, Dr. Gabriel Weisberg, and he unlocked a lot of things for me.
Patty was always interested in asking questions.
I love this piece, and I'm not familiar with the artist.
Well, he's an artist that has a very diverse career.
When I worked for Estée Lauder, it was always at the back of my mind, when I have time, I'm going to learn more about art. And, you know, I realized that's really not what art is all about. Art is about appreciating it in the moment. Just because you don't know the answer or the right answer, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you love art and you keep learning.
She's maintained that kind of appreciation for works of art now that she's at MIA.
About a year ago, I became a volunteer at MIA. And people say, what do you miss about working? And I'll say, but I do work. Well, yeah, you don't get paid, but it's not about that. It's more of a mission as opposed to a job. This is where I can help people or just make someone's day, or even myself. I mean, it's such a reciprocal thing. I can give a lot to someone, and I can also receive a lot. And it really changes the whole notion of volunteer. I've had some experiences that really were life-changing. One that comes to mind in particular is a man came up to me and said, I'm here as part of a recovery program. I need to find artwork that speaks to me the word responsibility. So he came upon a piece and he turned to me and he said, I think this is it. And I said, tell me why you think that way. And he said, well, they're hunting, so they're providing for their tribe. They're being responsible, correct? And I said, yes. And he stood there and he started to cry, sorry. And he said, thank you for your help. No one has ever been so nice to me. And I'm thinking, I did nothing for this man. But it just shows you, how little you have to do to help people and to make them feel that they're worth something. After a couple of experiences like this, I thought, you know what, I'm meant to be here.
It's definitely a journey with your eyes. There are gates that you enter, and you just trace the patterns all the way to the center, and then you go back out again. It's made with all these different colors of sand, and it's all very intentional. The colors, the patterns are all representative of different symbols. And then after the mandala is created, the monks will sweep it away. The creation of it is supposed to be meditative. It's all about creation and destruction. There is a spirit to art. Whether you have a strong belief in religion or not, being in touch with that side of yourself is important for creators because it provides a little bit of mystery. I go to the Minnesota Zoo as often as I can to draw the animals. Art has always been part of my life ever since I was very little.
When Kay was young, we'd often go down to Mia and I'd have her bring her sketchbook and she would draw some of the statues down there. And when she was 12 or 13, we signed her up for a cartooning class at Mia. And she loved having the opportunity to work with someone that was a professional.
I kind of grew up with all of the original Disney animation. So I got a lot into drawing what now would be called fan art before I even knew what fan art was. So fandom is a bunch of people that find community with people that have the same interest. And fan art is you take characters and you draw them in kind of like your own style and you put it online.
One of the things that's fun to watch with Kay is her interaction with the art community online.
Before I found a community of fellow artists, I struggled a lot socially, and I just never fit in. Today, art is evolving, and you create your own fandom. You can create your own communities now based on the art you make.
Kay's got this wonderful, wonderful world out there where she can go. In my opinion, it's magical.
I'm a recent graduate from the Minneapolis College of Art and Design, and I'm now at a point I want to create stories for people to belong to. I want to work in movies. I want to make characters that people want to be fans of. And so specifically, my field of art is creature design. While I was in school, I found out about the Guillermo del Toro exhibit that was going to be up here at MIA. He is a director, but also a creature designer. And the fact that MIA put this effort into getting this display here shows that they want to incorporate different types of art. And this side of things, these monsters and creepy crawly kind of things, would be something that maybe a lot of people would think, oh, that's a turn off, or like, that's weird. It's not though, like, artists love that kind of thing.
So you need to find what inspires you. Like in my case, a lot of it comes from painting.
He just walked right up to me and I was like, hi Guillermo, my name is Kay and I want to be a concept artist. And he kind of told me, it'll take about 6 years before you really get in the industry as a professional. And I feel like I have all this responsibility that I need to be successful right away. And so just having that little tidbit from Guillermo himself was really special for me. Something that I've found a connection with the art at MIA is a lot of the art here is representing a story. There's these themes that echo throughout time, different hero stories. And now that we have a more visual representation of storytelling, people are creating new characters and stories evolve around them, and it's become our mythology. The characters we're making today, will they last? Way off in the future, when they start analyzing the art from today, how will they look at it? Will they look at it how we look at fine art now, here at MIA? Stories have always been meant to be a lesson for people. So that's how I see art. Art is a lesson for society, for our communities. Stories save people, they really do. Art is a solace, and tapping into the struggle of everyday life and then turning that energy into something creative, I think that's why people make art and stories. That's why I think art is so important. People need something to aspire to and be inspired by.